right.
Boom. All right. I want to really fix my camera angle, but I'm not going to. You can't make me. All right, so we got Yikes of the Week, CDL Rostermania, then Halo, then E-News, correct?
Yep.
Sweet. I think we did that doc stuff last week, did we not?
Did we? Maybe we did. And
I could have sworn. I'm high, though. I don't know. Could be. Could be crazy. All right.
maybe we did. I'll just take it out.
Yeah. You ready?
Yep.
Welcome to episode 353 of the Center Ring Esports podcast. And this is going to be, scratch that, not episode 353. Refresh. Welcome to episode 354 of the Center Ring Esports podcast. And this is going to be the best episode ever because CDL Rostermania is in full effect. Category 5 Rostermania is upon us. Take shelter, everyone. Also, we have some Halo Infinite esports news. Finally, the silence has been broken, so we get to talk some of Halo esports. And we have Yikes of the Week, everyone's favorite segment. Also, a loaded down e-news to get to as well. And that's it. This episode's brought to you by your mom.
Hey, this is Ian Crim6 Porter, and you're listening to The Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location, episode 354. Ignore what the title says on Twitch and YouTube at the moment. It is 354, not 353. Sometimes counting is hard. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Our Discord and Patreon links are in the description of said Twitter account, so you can join that and be a part of the conversation, as all the cool kids are doing. My name is Tim. I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
What's up, dude? This camera angle is weird. It's throwing me off a little bit.
Work was kind of, so, obviously still working from home because the vid, and it was kind of slow at one point in time. So I was like, well, you know what? I guess I'll tidy up, just tidy up around the desk, right? Maybe let's change the camera around. And then got pulled away for one reason or the other. And the next thing I know, it's showtime and my camera is at the most awkward camera angle of all time.
I need eye contact at all times. Like, if you can make that happen.
It's just, it's further to the side. It's like, it's gonna be this way until I have the energy and or time. But the show must go on.
With the new schedule, you have a week to get yourself ready.
That is right. So a little show news to start the show. Before we get into some Yikes of the Week, just to keep everyone on the same page here, we have been doing for the longest time. I cannot remember when we initially started doing 2 shows a week, but it's been a very, very long time. Probably like 2 or 3 years. We've been doing 2 shows a week. Started doing 1 show a week, then we were like, you know what, let's do 2 shows. Well, Anuj, in that time, we have became adults. We were just young men, young boys when we started this podcast. I wasn't even married when I started it. I've gotten married, had multiple children. You have had child. And, those numbers, I assume, are just going to keep going up for us. I mean, with just our active sex life and all. So, long story short is, adulthood has caught up a little bit. We are going to start dialing it back to one show a week starting today. And we are changing said recording day to, instead of Sunday night, Monday night. Asterisks. And I say asterisks because if you listen to the podcast, you know us telling you when we're going to record means very little. So
between Monday and Tuesday, it'll always take place. It might shift a day.
Might be
randomly
Sunday night
for a
some
week.
nights.
Yeah, maybe even Sunday.
Like,
and the reason we're moving the day, I think, is also important because so much stuff, so many events are taking place on Sunday, and they go later and later in the evening, especially if it's not like an NA matchup, I guess you could say. And
right.
so this gives us time to also catch up on weekend activities, see what happened, be able to break it down properly. And so it gives us a little bit more flexibility in events that take place throughout
And
the
hopefully
weekend.
more consistency, right? Because like for a lot of times, for example, like today, one of the reasons it's like, okay, well, wife's work schedule, and then it's, one of us is on kids duty, and it's like, hey, gotta watch the kid tonight. And so it's like, yes, I could do the show, but unless we're recapping season 1 of Coco Melon, I don't know what happened today. So that's part of the other reason as well. So like Anuj said, it just gives us more flexibility. And again, don't set your schedule to it, because football season's also around the corner. So if Cowboys or the Lions are playing Monday night, we'll probably record Sunday night or Tuesday night, whatever works there. So not stopping the show by any means. The show goes on. We still love doing it. We still love you, the listener. But sometimes adult life can catch up. So who knows? Maybe we'll go back to two episodes a week after we get divorced.
And don't worry, based on how things go in esports, you'll have enough content in one episode to be able to split us up throughout the week and almost make it 2 for yourself.
Yeah.
Starting with today.
For real. Yeah. So episodes are not going to, the episodes will probably be a little longer. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see. Other than that, and it gives us the option to where it's like, hey, the major's coming up. We'll do 2 episodes that week, right? Or something big's happening. We'll do 2 episodes that week. So the point of it is it gives a little bit more flexibility to us, a little bit more time back with the family, which the wives and kids won't mind, and it gives us more time outside of the show to work on other content. We have the website tcr.gg. I have posted like 3 blogs, thinking, oh, you know what? We'll have the website and I can blog. But when you do 2 shows a week, I'm like, why would I? Like, by the time I even sat down to blog and write an article, I'm like, I'll just talk about this tomorrow, or okay, I'll just talk about this in a day. Like, so that, gives me more time to do the big dick plays on YouTube and Twitter, which we wanted to start doing, but the time is just, again, it's time consuming. So that's it. That being said, if anyone wants to pay us like $1 million, then we'll go back to doing 2 shows a week. That's also,
Many forget that we're working full-time jobs as well as all the family stuff.
We have made a total of $0 doing this show over the last course of many, many moons. We don't make money doing the show. This is all out of the pure love of esports and community that we've built doing it. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to do this show every night and do all that fun stuff, eventually it's like, okay, I have to pay attention to what pays the bills. And sadly, this is not it. Maybe one day, who knows? Elon Musk, if you're listening.
This is not a farewell, so we don't.
Absolutely not.
Get
It's just a schedule
overdramatic
change.
Just telling you all about it, a little bit of an update
And you know
here,
what?
but
Maybe Wednesday just becomes a lot more community nights. Who knows?
That is a for sure.
Who
Community nights will
knows?
be 3 times a week. So
Because that's also the issue, right? Is when we do 2 shows, not like our wives are very cool about this, especially for having children. They're very cool about us, old guys coming on to talk about video games. They're very understanding. But it was like the third day. It was hey, on Friday, even though we typically get on to play anyways, it was I have to be on is what bothered them.
yeah.
So, it's just asking for that third day saying, yo, I need to be on for like 4 hours uninterrupted. That's when it was like, okay, enough's enough. So anyways, like Anuj said, it's not a farewell. It's not even a see you later. It is, we'll just talk to you once a week and every other night on Discord. So there you go. There you have it. As always, Discord and Twitter, best way to know when we're going live and all that, and if we're out for an extended period of time. With that being said, next week is a holiday week. I'm DTF to,
I'm in Vegas, remember?
I
So
know. So Monday, are you good or no?
I'll be back Monday night.
Monday night. So already, again, do not set your schedule to us. The first week of the new schedule, we're already going to have to skip a day. So
We get in at like 6:30 or 7 on Monday.
Monday
And
night.
So
there you go.
It'll be a little tough to get back and hop on. But Tuesday, we'll be here
Tuesday
for
night.
the new set schedule.
Tuesday, my son's birthday. So there you have it. A little birthday show for him. Sure, he'll appreciate that. So there you have it. New schedule. Everyone rejoice. That being said, let's get into the show as we have Yikes of the Week, everyone's favorite segment, as we get into it, as I'm opening up my notes because I accidentally closed them. Anuj, why don't you start us off as my notes are loading?
Mine is coming from the lovely land of China. They make news today, Tim. Recently, they just announced, I think they announced this today, but they announced that anyone under the age of 18 will now have limited playtime, I guess you could say, when it comes to gaming. And now China already has some restrictions around how much you can game. So this is not, anything new in that sense, but I do believe we've taken this a little far. So new Chinese law states that anyone under the age of 18 is not going to be allowed to play essentially any games during the week. And starting Friday to Sunday, they have 3 hours of allocation between 8 p.m. or they can play an hour a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So the good news here, League of Legends fans primarily.
Last day of Positivity Month, so good news.
Last day of Positivity Month. The positive here is you NA and EU fans should be relatively excited for the future of
Do a little
League,
catch up.
Dota, StarCraft, any of these games that have a bigger Asian following. If China is number one, they might not be for very long, Tim.
3 hours a week. You're allowed to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 1 hour a day from like 8.
How do they monitor that though?
Bro, it's China.
But like in the sense of like if your dad games and he doesn't care that you play more, like couldn't he just
They
say
have a
he
big
won?
army. Maybe they have like a soldier for every
Like you
household.
gotta have
just,
a webcam on at all times when you're gaming. Like everyone must be streaming when you're gaming.
yeah, just getting ready to pull
like
that.
I don't know if I would break the law. I'm just saying, how would they know if you were? That's rough, dude. 1 hour a day for
like
3 days.
You can't
Like,
even
could you
get into a
imagine?
game. By the time I'm like revved up and ready to go, it's
Like we would have to coordinate everyone be at your computer like 3 to 5 minutes early, open up Steam, have the game loaded, and right when we sit down, we are hitting launch. Like I mean, it would be brutal. You couldn't play an MMO anymore. Like that's out the window. I mean, what are you gonna
no, yeah, that's
look
not
for
happening.
one group in WoW could take 45 minutes.
The other thing is like if everyone is on that schedule, like what they need to do is kind of base it off of or like maybe your last name, what letter you start with, or your age to be like, all right, you get 8 to 9 p.m. Oh, you're a little younger? All right, well, you're going to get an earlier playtime because you can't stay up as late. You're going to get 4 to
Can you
5.
imagine that. Like imagine for people like you and me that
Like the entire country is going to be playing in this hour. Their servers are going to get
break it up by age. It's like you're 17 and you have a best friend that's 15, y'all can't play together because
Yeah,
you're
I
2
mean,
years different.
at this point, their servers are done. Like, rip to Chinese servers.
I really don't know how they enforce it. So maybe that's the positive side of this. Is I feel like this is something that would be very, very difficult to enforce. But what a terrible ruling! Like it came from essentially complaints from parents that their kids are getting addicted to games. Guess what? Do a better job parenting.
If
Like
and that's another thing, because as a parent, as a father, Anuj, I have often thought about this now where I'm like, okay, what am I going to do when my kid starts playing games? And I will admit, like, I'm not going to be trying to push him to playing games, but I'm also, I would like to think it's going to be smooth sailing, but we all know how that goes. But even I'm not going to be like, you get 1 hour a night. That's what my wife tries to tell me. Like, hey, you were on for like 40 minutes. Okay, can you not spend time with me? I'm like, babe, like the loading screen doesn't even come up in 40 minutes. Like, what are you like? You gotta pull, you don't know what you're talking about. So stay hard to all the kids in China, because 1 hour a night on the weekends is going to be, that's rough.
that's brutal.
That's
That's almost torture in
yeah, I
itself.
was gonna say, like, you might as well just ban video games at that point. Like,
I
just
mean,
keep your change, China.
wouldn't you, if you were truly going to follow that rule, right? Like you're just parents, hardcore rule followers, whatever. Would you just quit gaming? Or
Yeah,
would you
because it
just
wouldn't even
take
be
up that
fun. I actually, it would be, well, because I don't know. Like, how do you police off? I guess I would just have to go buy like some offline mode game and just play single players for the rest of my life.
like you would have to have a handheld console?
Yeah, that'd be the only way, because
Yeah.
there's no way you're playing. Again,
Damn.
you're
I just
playing
thought about
you're
this. I
playing
bet
like
you Valve was involved with this shit, Tim. Steam Deck coming out. Okay, Steam Deck coming out, and all of a sudden this rule goes into play.
like there's just, I can't imagine what game I would play for 1 hour, 3 hours a week, and be like, well, this was worth it. This was
You get like
enjoyable.
one Valorant match a night, or one Counter Strike match a night. God
Maybe
forbid you
one
play
Counter
face it
Strike.
and it goes into
I was gonna
overtime.
say that one Counter Strike we played the other week lasted like, it was like 11:30, and we were like, one more game, and then we didn't get off till like 1:15 because it went into like quadruple overtime, and we were like, holy shit! Though we won, so it's totally worth it. But
but
that's
it was
rough.
a very long game.
That is rough. 3 hours on the weekend only. That's rough.
So yikes to China.
Yeah,
Chinese
yikes.
government, we should say.
Yikes. My yikes of the week is the never-ending saga of the coaching bug going around in Counter-Strike. Hunden, kind of being the former coach of Heroic, has kind of been the poster boy in all of this. E6 has just kind of released one of their showings that he is being banned for 2 years. I think one of the longer bans that I've seen come out of this.
Yeah.
And he's also, in the meantime, burning bridges on his way out, as he is. I don't know why he did this and not name names, but he said, oh, the players knew. I'm not going to name names, though. Well, buddy, there's only like 5 of them it can be. So, like...
And you're telling me like 3 knew, but 2 didn't?
But 2 had no... Like, come on, dude. Like, if you're going to say, oh, yeah, some of the guys on the team knew, I'm not going to name names, though. Like, okay, this is pretty easy to smoke him out at this point, but nonetheless, he's throwing teammates under the bus. He's banned for 2 years, so he's like, I'm done. Like, career.
That's a death sentence. Let's be real. 2
Right.
years banned, competitive ban. That's a dead sentence for him in terms of his Counter-Strike career.
I mean, and it's not even like 2 years, because you did, like, this is also losing credibility while doing it, right? So
and I'm seeing the complaints of like, oh, well, why aren't these coaches being banned longer when you look at what happened to like iBuyPower, right? They got lifetime bans for cheating. Why aren't, some of these bans have been light, some of them have been more strict, obviously, but for the most part, they haven't been putting the ban hammer down on people like lifetime bans or anything like that. I think they're using the coaches as a scapegoat. I've said this since day one. Although what I think Hunden did was very wrong, I really truly believe, and I said this on Twitter, this should be treated like the steroid era in baseball. Like this should be an asterisk that, hey, this bug has taken place. Developers decided not to fix it, although they knew about it for quite some time. it got taken advantage of. Coaches are not the only people that knew, Tim. Oh, I
Look, if
really truly
anything,
believe all the players knew what was I don't think if your coach was doing it, I don't think any coach did it without the players knowing something was happening. Like it would
if
just
anything,
be
these
weird to get.
coaches who are being banned should also be like rewarded for falling on the grenade so hard to protect their team. Like everyone's looking at Hunden like he's like a bad guy for calling out teammates for knowing about it. It's like he's the only one doing the logical thing in this at this point. Like he's sat here for months now, been taking a beating every time he pulls up social media. He's the poster boy for all of this. And then like Moses, I saw tweet out, former coach of Liquid, now caster again, was tweeting out saying like, I just don't know if I could trust him though, because he lied once before and he could be lying about this and blah blah blah. And I'm like, for what does he have to lose at this point? His career in esports is done. He's not gaining anything from this. And second off, to Moses's comment, he was a coach. He's been around. He's been a pro. He's been in the pro scene now for his entire life, pretty much. I guess that and I know you and I have always talked about it in this light on the show. I always thought it was pretty common sense that the players knew about it. Like, you don't go from Heroic being a top 20 team to number 1 in the world just because your coach is really starting to call his shots really well. like,
Wouldn't you even hear it in the, and I think it was Semphis that brought this up. Wouldn't you even hear it in the dynamic of their calling? Like, if all of a sudden mid-game, your coach is all of it like, hey, there's 3 walking up Cat right now, and you have no eyes on Cat. Like, wouldn't you find that odd that, hey, they're setting up for an A execute? Like, you would just know, like, you would know something is off by the way your coach is all of a sudden calling when this bug is active. Like, there's just no way you could not know that something is not going, like, something, at least if you're not aware of what the bug is, you should know something isn't right in that scenario, that your coach all of a sudden has all this information that there should be no way of you having it. So hey, they're on full buys rushing up Cat, like get ready or rotate B right now, like it's coming, like just stuff like that. I feel like it would have to be rather obvious, and so I just feel like coaches are taking the rap for it, and that's fine. Somebody needs to, like, if somebody has to be in trouble,
right.
like the coach is the only one that could have relayed the
But
information.
if the coach is saying at the end when he gets busted, saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, the guys also knew," don't be like either shocked and or like, "Well, I don't know if I trust you." Like, bro, the players knew. The players went, and not just in this Heroic situation. 100% the players knew, or
Just
at least
like
had an idea.
stream sniping scandal that was talked about for a while that never really went anywhere other than a slap on the wrist. And that's after I think it was Vitality got caught doing it again. Even after the whole scandal came out, that was on in the background or something. So it's like all this stuff just needs to go down as like the COVID era, and this is the kind of shit that was unfortunately happening during that time. And let's kind of move on. Like, I just don't think banning a bunch of coaches is the resolution
That's
here.
the sweeping it under the rug, and Valve, I feel like, is almost dragging their feet on this because it's been known fact that they've known about this bug for so long. It's like they can't come in, they can't handle it the same way a match fixer can, because a match fixing is like, how dare you did this and ruin the integrity of the game. Well, if they say that to here, they're going to turn around and be like, well, Valve, I have the emails, I got the receipts that I told you about this bug 5 years ago and you did nothing about it. So talk about the integrity of the game. So I think that's why Valve's also dragging their feet on this situation. But,
I don't even know if Valve steps in here. They're probably just going to let ESIC handle it for them like they do a lot. Like, not just ESIC, but event organizers and everything else that,
well,
Valve
because the way the ecosystem is now set up, it's not like when iBuyPower was banned and there wasn't like this ecosystem of a governing body and hey, we're all kind of respecting each other's rulings. And here now it's like, okay, ESIC can say, hey, you're banned from these events. You're banned. You're banned from majors. You're banned from everything.
But the only problem is ESIC has this like authority now where they're also making rules on the fly, right? Like, none of this stuff is laid out in the rules area, and they're kind of making these rules as they go. And I almost just, again, I kind of just feel for a lot of the coaches here because most of them will not throw their team under the bus.
Right.
But I feel like as fans, analysts, casters, people involved in the game, it should be a baseline understanding that, hey, everybody knew. It's just unfortunately our coaches are going to take the rap for it, so we don't screw over the whole organization. And most of them will probably keep their job. That'll be the reward for them is, hey, we won't let you go during this time, and we'll bring you on in some other.
Well, and it
form.
almost seemed like that was Hunden's direction up until even outside of this.
Yeah. Well,
remember
he went into like the analyst role for them,
and then it came out that he was giving other teams their strats, and that was probably the dagger. If I had like a pro career tip, if you're given a second chance after caught cheating, don't use it by giving other teams strats.
No, but did you hear about like how that went down? I mean, he was sharing anti-strats, and I feel like that's where the whole making of the rules thing and this whole ban for him is unique because he wasn't sharing heroic strat book. He was sharing their anti-strat versus what they would do versus other teams in specific scenarios. To me, that is very different.
It's different. I would say as long as the org knew, and I don't know if did the org know that he was doing it?
Yeah, I mean that's where some of these details.
That's the gray area, right?
It just I feel like coaches communicating this information amongst themselves. To me, I don't look at that as cheating.
To me, that's like
I feel like that happens in professional. Like
that's like, hey, we're about to play Fnatic this weekend, Mr. Astralis. What do you guys do to hit for them? And then Astralis is like, oh, well, we're about to play Liquid. What do you do for them? And then they talk shop about it. Again, gray area, obviously, if you don't know the details and if the team knew or the players knew. But either way, we won't be seeing him for 2 years either way. So big ol' yikes there for Hunden, and probably putting the end to his storybook in all of this. So there's that. But a story that is just beginning is the Call of Duty off-season, better known as Rostermania, which started before the season was even over. Before they even crowned Atlanta the champion, we already had teams dropping players and entire rosters. I did not know, though, it would turn into this, because this Rostermania in the last 48 to 72 hours has been more entertaining than I think the entire Call of Duty League season was for me so far.
I mean, this kind of feels like a season in itself. Like this is the game after the game here, because we know what we're getting into with Rostermania, right? You know it's going to be a wild ride. You should always kind of expect the unexpected. But things kind of went to a new level, really, like you said, in the past 48 to 72 hours. News has broken that, so we'll get into it, but like teams merging, the names of the players that were dropped, some of the retirements that took place, like you're really getting into like an old time Rostermania kind of level here, I feel.
Yeah, and just an overall theme on this, before we get into some of the more details, I feel like no other esport does it like Call of Duty in the sense of, like, well, that didn't work out. Time to restart, right? It's like every other team is like trying to fit in pieces or find the right fit, find the right guy, maybe one or two here and there. But it's like with this, you have entire teams, benches, farm systems getting completely wiped out. And I'll just say, in situations like that, I feel like even on like the subreddit and everything for competitive COD, like they like to be like blame the players and be like, oh, this player's washed up, this player sucks, blah, blah, blah. Well, time out. I think the GM or the coach or the org, whoever because every org's a little different on how they set up their team, right? They got to take some responsibility in this as well. Like if you're telling me you just spent probably over $1 million this season on building this roster out and the coaching staff and a farm system and whoever, and you didn't trust in one of your guys to continue on with the roster next year, now you are more comfortable restarting and trying to find 4 new guys sticking together than just saying, hey, you know what? We like you and we want to build around you. Like, that to me is a big yikes and a more reflection on the org than the players.
Well, combination of both for me. Yes, the org's got to take some blame from a management standpoint of not being able to field the right team for this game. But Call of Duty is so unique in the sense that it is a new game every year. So once you know what the next title is, you start to get a little bit more understanding of from the developer of what type of game it is. You also know based on the developer maybe what to expect in terms of similarities in past games. You were going to naturally see more major roster changes occur. Now, these players also don't seem to be signing any sort of long-term contracts, right? So that's kind of on them. You're taking a one-year deal. This is the chance you
Right.
face. Is if your team is bottom 8 in a, bottom 6 in a 12-man league, you can expect that there's going to be pretty big changes for your org. Like, especially if you're in the bottom 4, you can pretty much expect that your org is going to replace all of you because you did not even qualify for champs in that scenario, right? So you didn't even have a chance to play in the big tournament. So it doesn't surprise me that we see always a handful of orgs completely drop their roster. I think what makes this season unique outside of Atlanta FaZe, all the really good competitive teams, we're seeing major roster moves from, right? And that's where I think it feels a little bit different this year is it's not those bottom 4 or 5 teams kind of releasing everybody and then a couple of teams releasing or swapping out one player. Like you're seeing half of rosters that are in the top 5, dropping 2 players out of a 4-man roster. Like that's pretty big. That's big news. And so this is going to make for a really interesting offseason because you're going to see a lot of new teams obviously form that once didn't have a chance that all of a sudden they added what we would consider like potential superstar level talent, and that doesn't get to happen often, and it's going to be fun. Like I think right now, and I think we should just jump into it because we're going to have this is already going to be a long portion of our show here. Right off the bat, the number 3 team in the league, potential top 2 for a part of the season there, Dallas Empire releasing Crim 6 in Vivid days after the season ends. Feels similar to 2019 or 2020 when they had to let go of Clayster. This kind of has that same impact or waves across the scene because a name like Crim 6 getting dropped just seemed unthinkable up until the moment that it happened.
Yeah, and obviously now that we have some of the rumors flying around, which we'll get to in a second, but just keeping it in the timeline, you're absolutely right. At the Vivid makes sense, right?
Vivid was the only one that we thought, hey, they might replace him should a good option open up,
Right.
right? Like,
Yeah,
but Vivid's
Vivid.
not a bad player.
No,
Just,
but he was expendable. Like
but yes,
he was movable. He was
yeah,
replaceable. Crim 6, I thought after you dropped Clay last season, I thought that was cementing Crim 6 as the franchise player. Like he was going to be your Dirk, for Dallas Maverick fans. He was going to be.
Shotzi was always going to be the guy in the sense of the talent. But yes,
But the
from a leader
veteran
perspective,
leadership,
yes, 100%.
I guess, yeah, not so much like Dirk in the sense of he was there his entire career, but Dirk in the sense of like he was the veteran leadership. Hey, you're my guy, Crims. We're sticking with you because you chose him over the other veteran guy, which was Clay. That was my mindset going into how his relationship was with the team.
And right prior to Crim getting released, rumors started swirling that Dallas was going to find a way to get Clayster back and pair up Clayster and Crims on the AR and have Shotzi and Illy running SMGs. And that was kind of like the rumor mill that was swirling and it got brought up on several other, COD podcasts out there and stuff like that I had heard several times. So I was starting to get pretty hyped. Like my mindset was, oh damn, like maybe they realized what Clay did for the team. I think they did value that, but they
Yeah.
had to make a tough decision, right?
I mean, that was, yeah. I mean, you
They
went
had,
from
they had to
5
make a
to
really
4,
tough
so you
decision at
had to
that
drop
point.
someone. And
Looking back, I'm sure they would have been like, "Damn, we should have just dropped Hook at the time,
of course,
kept
yeah.
Clay, and like we could have worked around that." But that was the rumor mill that was going around, and then the Crim 6 drop happens. I think that dropped a bomb on the COD scene. That hey, Rostermania is in full effect. You know, you kind of praise Dallas in a sense only from the standpoint right now, you don't blame them for trying to improve. It looked like they were willing to do whatever it took, even if it was a really difficult decision, to potentially get better. And people thought, okay, maybe this is a sign that they're bringing in Optic, you know, younger, more, you know, recently has performed better when he's had, other good players around him. Crim Six, although he had done really well, was getting towards the end of his career at the very least. You could probably say that, right? Like maybe he has a
To bring in
couple of
who?
years left.
Who over
Huh?
Crims?
Octane
Oh,
from
Octane.
Seattle.
I thought you said
Yeah,
Optic. I was like, what?
no, Octane. Don't worry, that comes into play soon too.
Right, that's why I was
And,
confused.
and so it's like that. Now I'm seeing what's happening, and you start to put this picture together. And I think we should just kind of jump into this part right now. Is all of that has been thrown out the window, Tim? Like
Yeah.
anything that you thought might be happening with the Dallas roster just got thrown out the window within the last 48 hours.
Yeah, because at first you're thinking, what the like Dallas is defending champions and now they got third place. Like, how could they be? What possibly like motives could they have to be making this big of moves? And then the rumors came out by Jacob Wolf, who
Call of Duty Intel actually broke it, and in partnership with Jacob Wolf.
Okay, so but my next point stands is Jacob Wolf for the most part is very credible.
Yeah.
In fact, like I would say like 1 out of 100 maybe he gets wrong, but typically he gets everything right. And he doesn't typically report Call of Duty. So if he's saying something about Call of Duty, it's probably big and it's probably true. Though at the moment it's all still rumor based, but knowing how the world works, it's going to become official about 1 minute after we post this episode. So
and then we'll see you next Tuesday.
yes,
to tell
so
you all about
you're welcome. But now it's rumored that Optic Chicago will be merging or bought out by Dallas, by Envy, the parent company of Dallas Empire. So then you will now have Scump.
And real quick before you say that, that means then the Optic Chicago, or the Optic Chicago spot owned by NRG, would be sold off.
Correct.
So that's what the full thing is that you would have the Dallas Envy merger, and that slot that belonged to Chicago Optic would then be sold off to
Envy.
other teams
I
that we'll
think
get
what it
into.
is outside of the league, and I think this is how the rumor is working, is outside of the league, Envy is buying the branding of Optic, is what it is.
Yeah.
So then now you are left with NRG owning a spot with no branding. Okay, they're probably going to sell it off. Side rumor on that is it's going to go to either E United or Cloud9. As we mentioned last time, Cloud9 was kind of teasing about it. However, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, Cloud9. I remember what you did with the Hiko bullshit in Valorant. Okay, I remember that, Anuj. I remember them doing their little eyeball.
It does seem likely that they are joining the scene, though.
I know, but
they even tweeted on like some Paris Legion stuff that was going on.
Yes, because now, look, the rumor. I mean, we could go on 1,000 different tangents with rumors, but just keeping it with the Optic Dallas merger. So yeah, now you have it to where Envy is purchasing the Optic brand. So you're going to have those two brands merging. So now will you have Optic Dallas? Like, will Dallas Empire no longer be a thing coming into next season? That's kind of mind-blowing that we already have a defending champion, a team that's had more success than Optic, take the Optic brand.
Just before we get into what would happen, the repercussions of this, do you hate this idea like I do?
So I know we want to save a lot of our opinions for when this actually happens, if it actually happens, but in the fear that it doesn't happen, my gut reaction to this is like if the Boston Red Sox purchased the Yankees branding and then changed their names to the Boston Yankees. And it makes me sick to my stomach to even think about, to be honest with you.
Doesn't it?
And
I'm not talking, this is not from a business perspective.
No, because I was going to say, from a business standpoint, the branding of Optic is huge. Obviously I get it. and I'll save it for the future episode for when this happens, because it looks like it will, the discussion of, is Hex the best or worst business manager in the world? Because I think right now you can make an argument for both.
He's going to make 2 sales off of the deal, most likely. So that would be.
But at the
a
same
win
time,
for
it
him
seems like Optic
financially.
just cannot turn profit since outside of its original days. Like, something has happened with the brand financial wise to where it seems like everybody is just trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it is mind blowing because they pride themselves on their content side so much, and you
Right.
would think that's where the money is. But
And
yeah,
like Hex was like, borderline crying that he got it back, and now he's already getting rid of it again. So something's going on there more than either, like I said, either Hex is the best snake oil salesman in the world, and he just keeps churning out this Optic brand for money, or something else is going on. But we'll save that for a future episode when this happens or not. But for me, it's almost like my gut instinct. Like I said, it makes me sick. I've dedicated my life to making fun of Optic at any chance possible. And for them to now be going to Envy, which was like one of their biggest rivals, with
their biggest rival.
like the Envy Optic rival, the Hex Hastro rival, even though they're friendly with each other, but to fans, one of the biggest rivals in esports, and especially with Call of Duty. So for like the enemy to be purchasing their brand, but then using their brand, like admitting like, hey, you are the bigger brand, so we're going to use you, and now they're going to be Optic Dallas, it makes me sick to my stomach, and I honestly feel bad and wouldn't blame any fans from either side for being like, this sucks. Because if you're a hardcore Optic fan, you probably hate Envy, and now you are Envy. And if you're a hardcore Envy fan, you hate everything Optic, and now you're Optic.
Like now
this,
your branding is about to be Optic.
right. Like at least an
so-
Optic fan gets to keep their shit. Envy fans are like, well, let's see, I had a bunch of Envy stuff, and then I just invested all of my heart and energy and money into Empire stuff, and now that's gone.
A little swap back program for Envy gear or Empire gear.
I mean, they really should at this point. Like, to be doing like...
We're trying to get Hastro on the show, so if we get him on the show, we'll have to, obviously...
And he's not even the CEO anymore.
Until some news is coming down here.
Right.
But we would love to have him on. And,
like,
Hastro's
Hastro is... He's not the CEO anymore. He's the chief gaming operator, officer, whatever that made-up title is. So, I wonder how much he's even had to do with this. I'm sure something. But...
100%. I mean,
still,
100% he's involved. And like I said, we don't blame them for making the move. We're talking about this from a fan perspective. And so that's what makes it fun for us is we're fans first, And so this potential news of a merger kind of gut-wrenching.
And can I also say something too? It's not just on Hastro explaining it. If I'm an Optic fan, I want Hex, no bullshits, no lies, to really explain what's going on at this point. Because if you're an Optic fan, you have been a ride and die Optic fan, and we have Optic fans that are listeners, right? Maybe this is like the ultimate ending of the TCR curse on them. Like maybe it's our fault. I don't know. But the fact that it's like you ride or died with Hex with Optic version 1, then he sold it off to Immortals Gaming. We all know that shit show that happened. And then you had LA Optic, which was hashtag not my Optic, not Hex's Optic. And then you got NRG who purchased them. And then Hex was kind of back in and everyone was super happy. And then Hex said, hey, it's back. I'm the back ownership. I own the brand again. And everyone flipped their shit again for Optic. And now he's like, oh, by the way, Daddy needs a new boat. So I'm selling it to Envy again. Like,
I think he wants to focus on his new weed business, Pine Park.
And you know what? And that's fine. But like, I don't need Hex hype man coming out here. I need Hex. Listen, the fans were like a family to me, and I need to explain to you what's going on so you understand it from my perspective.
And hopefully he will do that. I think he will.
Like he has to know. And maybe I'm in the wrong here. I gotta imagine most Optic fans are not loving this idea right now.
I don't think many fans are loving this idea right now. I don't even think fans that are not fans of either of these teams are loving this idea right now, So again, non-business perspective, fan perspective, but
it's just never happened before in esports and traditionals. I mean, you have the Red Sox and the Yankees the Cowboys and the Redskins or the Eagles, right? Could you imagine if Jerry Jones was like, guys, I'm purchasing the Philadelphia Eagles branding and we will now be known as the Dallas Eagles? Like, would you support that? Like,
No, I'm not buying that jersey.
exactly. Like, I don't care if it's the same ownership. I don't care who's behind it. Like, I hate that. I couldn't do
What
it.
this potentially does from a player standpoint, Tim, is even more crazy because we'll talk about Optic Chicago now and kind of bring this all home together. But Optic Chicago has also dropped 2 players, Tim. They have dropped Envoy, and Scump said they dropped Formal, but then Formal retired. So Formal
That's
has
the
retired. You know, that
you're
kiss of
fired,
death
I
at that
quit
point.
kind of thing, right?
Yeah, like a little bit of both. Like, I don't want to say forced into retirement. He would have found a new home should he have wanted one, but
Yeah.
probably didn't want to start over in a new place. And I get that.
And we
as
talked
somebody
about it last episode, right? Like, I thought Scump might have been the one to retire, but the old guard, they're all getting up there, right?
Yeah.
It's all getting to that point, whether it be might not be age, right? They're still relatively young, especially gaming age, but mentally, they're like, I'm done. Like, this is
Yeah, they can go into streaming, content creation, have a
Yeah.
little bit more fun, and not have to be tied down to such a strict regimen and schedule and all the scrims that they go through. It's a lot, you know. So don't blame Formal for making the decision he does, and Formal being the legend that he is, with all the championships under his belt that he has, the one major title under his belt, and then also being a two-sport athlete, I guess we could say, right? As coming from Halo into the COD scene and being a winner in both. And so in my eyes, he goes out on top regardless of how they finish this season. He's been great for the COD community, and you hate to see the old guard slowly dwindling away, right? And so Formal stepping down, they drop Envoy, so that just leaves Scump and Dashi on the team. So to bring this full circle, Rostermania full steam ahead, as the rumor is, if these teams merge, you would then see Shotzi and Illy, the remaining 2 from Dallas Empire, team with Scump and Dashi, the remaining 2 from Optic. The one exciting thing from a fan
I was
perspective,
about to say, branding aside,
branding
goddamn.
aside,
goddamn,
that's a nasty roster. That is
legit.
really, really badass roster.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would love to see Shotzi and Scump being the 2 subs running around, shredding the map, and obviously, Dashi, whether he's sniping or on the AR, Illy kind of being a flex player for him. I think that is a lethal lineup that would be fun to see. And so if this were to happen, and we will come back and discuss this, if this were to happen, fun lineup.
It's good.
Fun
Yeah,
lineup.
that is going to be very exciting for the fans to watch, regardless of how you feel about it.
You're going to have a lot of split feelings, but you're going to
Yeah.
enjoy watching it during that time.
Yeah. And let me know. Like I said, I know we have a lot of hardcore COD fans that listen. If you're a hardcore Optic or Envy fan, let us know in Discord or Twitter or DMs, whatever. Because I'm genuinely curious to hear from the hardcore, hey, I have, every Optic clothing and I got all the limited drops and I did all this and I'm full Optic green wall, right? Those are the people I want to hear from. Because like I said, I know me from back in the day, I've always just made fun of Optic. It's just, it's been my thing. I just never have been a fan of them. So now
it's weird. It doesn't happen. Fnatic and NIP should not be merging.
Right. And
Optic
now
and Envy should not be merging.
now that
it
they're
just doesn't feel right.
now that Optic might be our team, our local Dallas team,
It hurts more because if they change the branding to their branding, like it's not just a merger then. Like it's a true merger,
it
right?
just doesn't feel like, and I guess we'll save it, but my last thought on this is it won't feel like the same Dallas team. It would almost feel like I'm just kind of, it's not the team I was a fan of, right? This is Optic now. This is not Dallas. This is Optic.
We may have to lift the curse in that scenario depending on what kind of access we have to that team.
That is true. If Hastro will come on the show, we'll discuss lifting the Optic curse if they do in fact.
No guarantees.
No guaranteed. Hastro, if you're listening,
the possibility of lifting it, and
always can be persuaded with free merch, but no guarantees. Absolutely not.
Well, yeah, I got to replace some of the Empire merch I have.
Yeah, for real. Like, should get free merch anyways for that one. So, there you have it. As far as the Optic Empire stuff going
And this
on.
is just the start of
Just
Rostermania, guys. That felt like a segment to me a little bit right there, just discussing those two. We
Huge.
have a lot of other news to get to, so we're going to kind of run through some of these. I don't think we're going to stop and talk about every single move, but we'll kind of do a little breakdown, just a quick team by team. And Tim, stop me where you want to discuss a little bit, because I think there are some interesting ones on here. But New York, NYSL releasing Diamond Con.
a little dirty because they benched him for Clay when Clay had he needed, his timeout. So he was their sub, played very well on NYSL. The only part that did them dirty is he missed the Challengers finals. Like, his team would have been in the Challenger finals, but he decided to go with NYSL as a sub. And then Clay came right back in before Champs, so he missed Champs as well. And then they drop him. Now, Positivity, August, last day of Positivity month, is they could have also been doing him a solid here, because since he did go out on top and he did show himself being a good teammate with all these free agency spots, which plenty to pick from, I think he would be on the top of a lot of teams to be picked up on.
I agree. I think he'll find a home this year. LA Thieves, TJ Hawley has now become an unrestricted free agent. Another big name out there. I mean, he's very well respected within the scene. Once again, fully expect him to find another home. With LA Thieves, it's just been such a tough year. Really, really tough year. I don't know what their plan is. They've got to make, I think, some more changes, but they need to find stability at the same time. So whatever changes you make, please run with it for a little bit and give it a chance to work.
What does Hook have on Nadeshot that he hasn't been dropped yet?
A lot of money that they spent to buy him out. Like, there's a lot of money tied up into him. So if he can get his head right and get going again, you might have to, at least consider putting him back into the starting lineup at this point. It's just they paid a buyout fee for no events. He didn't really play in anything. And so
None.
Yeah, I just feel like they're heavily invested in him from a financial standpoint. I bet you inside they're pulling their hair out wishing they never made the move, but they did. So they probably got to keep him unless somebody else is willing to at least get them most, if not all, of their money back. LA Gorillas, Tim, they have dropped their whole team. And when I say their whole team, they literally have cut not only their starting lineup, they have cut everybody off their challengers team. So Silly, Apathy, Assault, Mental, and then from challenger side, Sheen, Mock, Succeed, Nero, all of these guys are free to go. I think we see a couple of them on starting rosters, and just a couple I want to throw out there, Tim. Silly, I think, might have a tough time just because of all the shit that's going on in his personal life. And if he can't get that in order, I don't think teams are going to want to deal with that drama. Apathy, I love the guy and I hope he finds another team, and I think he will, but it's all dependent on how much more he wants to keep going, because he's also, gamer dad, been in the scene for a long time, could go the content route. The other interesting name on here, Tim, Mental. Mental, for those of you that don't know, was like a Gears of War god, basically switched over to Call of Duty this year, never really made his way onto the starting lineup until the end of the year, but that was already a bad team at that point. So he is kind of back in the free agent market, and I think he'll have to work his way through challengers to probably get another spot. I don't see another team jumping into Adam unless it's, as a fifth, but there was so much backlash on that move from people within the scene that I don't know if you see that again. Anything to add on that?
No, for my point earlier, this is one of the ones that I was thinking of. Is like, if you're a fan of Gorillas, I don't know how confident you are in your org when they literally are starting from the ground up, when they couldn't get it right the last 2 seasons, and now you're starting all over again. Like, do you really have confidence?
They haven't had a good run since they've been in CDL. They've had a tough time finding their footing, and the number of players that have gone through there is kind of insane. But yeah, whole team gone. Royal Ravens do something similar. They basically clean house, releasing, I think, 3 out of the 4 starters, including the bench player as well as their coach. I don't think we have much to add there, and I don't think that's too big of a surprise considering that they have just not been competitive since, once again, the start of the year.
I felt
Us,
like they overdid it last season. So this is just correcting their mistakes from last time.
yeah, I mean, it's just
Which
it hasn't
I
been.
feel like that happens a lot in COD. I think that happens a lot where teams feel like, you know what, guys, we're just a couple roster moves away from being champs. And so like they'll like over adjust rather than maybe just sticking it out with like, you know, majority of the roster. And Royal Ravens, I think they overdid it, and now they're just paying for it.
Yeah, yeah. Seattle Surge, another team, squad wipe there. Everybody gone. Not a surprise. Roster's been a shit show since the start. Although amazing names on that roster, they were never able to put it together. It never seemed like the players and management were on the same page. You know, you had Octane throwing jabs on his way out of the door, and so it's not surprising. Even if you like that roster because of the names on it, it's just there was too much of a either a mesh of egos between management and players. But either way, they never got it together, and that was a team that I think people had a lot of high hopes for because of who was on that team. So do see a total squad wipe there, and Seattle will be starting from scratch. And then finally, Tim, Paris Legion. The surprise is not the fact that they released their roster. The surprise was what we mentioned earlier, that their trademark patent has expired. They didn't renew it, which kind of starts to make you wonder if this is one of the teams that's going to change ownership here. Cloud9 tweeting, subtweeting on their stuff. Jack Entian, the owner, CEO of Cloud9, also doing the eye emojis on a lot of these posts that people are throwing out there. So the bait is out there. Whether it happens or not is another story. But C9, I know a lot of people don't recognize that as a COD name. They were good at COD at one point. They had a good lineup. I mean, they were a very good team with Yikes at one point, and so if they rejoined, I think they would be welcomed nicely. Whether it's them or United, both of them have a very respectable fan base within the COD community, and so would be fun. We'll see. We'll keep tabs on it.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll
I would
probably
love to see. Obviously, me being a Cloud9 fan, would love to see Cloud9 back involved. I also feel like it is a good possibility just because I feel like Cloud9 is a team that likes to be involved. I don't think they're an org that likes to not be involved with a scene. Like I mean, they have guys in everything, right? They have League of Legends, they have FGC players, they have, well, not Counter-Strike, but they at least tried Counter-Strike multiple
they
times.
gave us an NA major,
They
so
gave
they
us,
do.
yep.
They get the Dallas Cowboys 25-year pass now. They can
Right.
be mediocre, but will always relive the 2018 Boston
Always
major.
remember the
So
major. That
they
is
they get
true.
a little bit of a pass. They also tried to come back in with a very heavy investment that was just brutal for them. So
Yeah.
as you mentioned, they continue to at least try to be active in every
Yeah.
scene. And maybe this is the perfect segue here, Tim, of Cloud9 being active in every scene. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to the Call of Duty side, but I know a
No.
beautiful way to tie this into the next part of our
Please, you
conversation.
know me in a good segue.
Well, Tim, breaking news today. Halo Infinite has announced the HCS partner teams, including Tim, Cloud9. So I know you'll be excited to hear that. But this was really breaking news today. This was fantastic to see. HCS announced their partner teams that are going to be involved in the Halo Championship Series. We have a 9-team selection that has got introduced as year one partners, with more going to most likely be added down the line. But great kickoff. I mean, you talk about the teams that are involved, and I think we just probably jump straight into it. Cloud9 kind of topping the list as one of the big names. Envy, once again, a team that's been heavily involved in Halo for a long time now, and we'll talk about their roster actually here, which is the one team that we have a lot of that information for. E United, Tim, a team that we just talked about a couple episodes ago, saying, man, they went from this org that was winning COD champs just a couple of years ago to falling into almost a state of irrelevancy in the sense that they're competing in, Rocket League, which is fine, but not going to draw in like the big attention from the general esports
Right.
scene, although like they have their following and a huge one, but doesn't draw that same type of attention, I guess you could say. I believe they also have a Gears team, but again, kind of fallen off a little bit since they lost their Call of Duty squad. Huge win for them today to be announced as a partner team. I mean, happy for them. They seem like a good group of guys, very active on social media, seem to really enjoy themselves, and so excited for them to be part of this 9 team inclusion here.
And I've
FaZe
always
Clan,
always been a fan of E United too. Like they
yeah,
were just an org that I felt like was easy for everyone to root for.
like they remind me of they're always the continuous underdog,
Yeah.
and they do well when they're in these scenes. They're never like a bad team, and I like their ownership group. So excited for them. It's a good brand, and I think for them to be involved, especially as heavily as they've been dedicated to the console scene for as long as they have, it's a good win for them. Good win for them. I think a good win for the fans too in that case. FaZe Clan, not surprising. Just not surprising. Not much more to add there. They have the ability to do it, and it's in a massive name, so to have them involved is always a win. I feel the same about a handful of these teams coming up. Fnatic, Tim, making their announcement. G2 and Navi, all three of these teams are proud esports organizations with a rich history. So again, think a huge win for both sides. The new kid on the block, Tim, and the name that people just need to, I think, get used to seeing at this point is Sentinels. Obviously made their big splash with Valorant, but they've done really well and their branding has really taken off. Obviously, they've run into some money.
And they've been in Halo before, right?
Yeah,
But before anyone yells at us for being like, "Hey, get used to seeing Sentinels and things." If you're a diehard Halo fan, which, hey, I'm with you. I love Halo, right? Let's not kid ourselves. If you were an org specifically in Halo and maybe like a Fortnite player, you were a small org, okay? Like, no knock on them, no knock on any org that is in that same situation, but don't be like, well, guys, they were always playing Halo. Okay.
Sentinel's biggest claim to victory is Booga winning the
Right.
Fortnite championship, right?
Now they're on a completely different level with the popularity coming from Valorant.
Yeah, I mean they're a legendary team already in Valorant, right? So this is the next addition to the Sentinels family, adding a Halo team, being a partnered team, huge for that organization. They're just going to continue to get bigger. That stock is one stock that will continue, I think, to rise for quite some time. And finally, I think probably for me, although I know they're also a big console org, and obviously not just console but PC as well, but I know them more, I feel like, tied to like console gaming. Space Station Gaming, making a huge splash today for them, and getting a chance to, you start to look at the team names and you're like, damn, Space Station, like that one pops out a little bit to me, and exciting. I love the fact that they were, given the opportunity to be involved with this, but I do think they were like an outsider when, if we were going off to list a bunch of teams that we thought might take up that 9th slot.
Yeah, and some of these are too, like, first off, I think some are expected because I think we even, I don't remember if we talked about it off the show or a couple episodes ago where we were asking the questions, whatever did happen to those orgs that announced Halo Infinite rosters, and then the delayed happened, and then they kind of just went into the void. Like, they just kind of never brought up the fact that they had a Halo roster, and it was just like, okay, I guess this is it. Like, I think Cloud9 maybe did a Halo tournament with it, and that was it. Well, now we see it. Pretty much all of those teams, Cloud9, Envy, Sentinels were one of those teams that announced a roster before, are here. Rosters are pretty stacked in that regards. With Envy, you have Pistola. I got your Pistolas on the roster. Classic friend of the show. If you haven't listened to his interview, go on our YouTube, check it out. I'll even tweet it out. One of my favorite interviews of all time. But they have Pistola, Trippy, APG, and Lucid. That's going to be a stacked roster for Envy. On the Sentinel side, they do have Snakebite, Royal 2, Frosty, Lethal. Classic names involved there. Also going to be a deadly roster, even though Frosty, he complains. I'll say it that way.
Frosty seems like the crazy guy on Twitter to me. I don't know his history. I know he's a very good player.
He's a complainer.
the sad part is I know more from Call of Duty than I really do Halo, which I know will drive people crazy to even hear that. But like, I see his Twitter feed, and I'm like, man, this guy just complains about everything.
He's go on if you watch him on stream, he just complains. He's a complainer. You
All
know,
right. Well, at least that's like his thing.
like
So
we have friends, and I won't name them on the show for their own privacy. But when we play with them, we just know, just let him complain. Just
Yeah.
let him get triggered. Let him complain. He'll play. He'll calm down. We're good. It's just that's how he is. So if you can stomach it, but nonetheless, he is good though. Some of the teams that kind of I think shocked me as far as being on this list for Halo are the EU side of things. Navi,
Yeah.
Fnatic, and G2. Those are huge orgs to be partnered with the Halo Championship Series to start off with. And for this, for those who haven't read the FAQs for this, the Q&A section of this announcement, it's not like this is a private league. These are still going to be, I believe, it seems like in other big invite qualifying tournaments, what these teams are is that they've paid into the Halo ecosystem in the sense of they're going to have access to things with the league or with the HCS and things like that. So you can go read it. It's not a league. They're just partner. I mean, it's exactly what it is. They're partnered with the league to pretty much help promote the growth and health of Halo esports.
There'll be benefits for them,
Of
right?
course.
In terms of
But
like
no competitive.
whether it's big events or whatever, there'll be advantage, some sort of advantages
Yeah.
for them. But also don't kid yourself. These teams are also going to have stacked rosters and be very good teams regardless. But there will be more teams involved. You know, the names that we didn't mention, you could probably expect to see a couple of these enter the fray: Liquid, TSM, Complexity, 100 Thieves, EG, NRG. Like, there's a lot of big names out there that are not included on this list that we also think will be involved in some way or another at some point, right?
Right. But still,
It's just a matter of time.
it is awesome to see some of the big names involved with this as far as starting out. Like, you didn't have, like, I felt like when Flashpoint started out, some of the teams that they got, you were like, oh, well, these seemed kind of fringy esports teams to begin with, to where if things went south, they wouldn't be able to stick around just financially. They couldn't. For here, I don't really see, you know, apart from maybe a couple, which you can probably guess, I don't see any of them. First off, they're all bringing massive amounts of fans, which is probably, from a Halo standpoint, priority number one. Like, hey, it's great you have 9 teams and they're all willing to pay to be part of this partnership program. But from a business standpoint, you want those 9 teams to also have an incredible fan base behind them. And, I mean, just having FaZe and G2 in there, like, some of the craziest fans in esports.
FaZe, G2, Cloud9, Envy, like Fnatic. I mean, these guys are monster name. You will find all of these teams in like top 10 valuations for esports companies, right?
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic move. It really did start building the hype. You know, it got me excited to see this. I was like, damn, I'm going to be following like another. I thought this about Valorant too. Like, it was just, holy shit, like this is about to change a little bit. Like, my esports watching now adds another game to its repertoire, right? Like, another game we're going to get to follow and keep track of. And, you know, we really haven't done that with Halo. For you old school listeners out there, you know how little we mention Halo on this show. And it's not out of passion. You know, Tim loves the freaking game, you know, so it's not.
We've really talked about it as much as one could talk about it. Like,
we've talked about it as much to satisfy Tim's urge to talk about it.
They don't give reasons to talk about it though. Like, there hasn't been a major Halo tournament. God, what, in the last 2-3 years? I mean, I couldn't tell you the last major Halo tournament that I felt like it even mattered. So this though, yeah, you're right. This has got me hyped for it. I cannot wait now for December 8th when the release comes out, but maybe we'll start seeing a little bit of early tournaments, right? Maybe some beta events or things like that, how they like to do. But I also think this is also important for early development on the esports side, because now that you have 9 partner teams directly tied to the esports governing body for Halo, right? HCS is the official 343 studio branch, right? This is not some, this is like being partnered with Riot. right? They're officially partnered with the studio behind the game. They can actually have direct input. Like, they can run matches or test tournaments with these pros and players and teams and get feedback directly to them. Like, there is a direct chain of who you can get with if you're a player and say, hey, this is working, this isn't working, we need to change this. And honestly, from the get-go of Halo, whether it be 343 Studios or Bungie, it is something Halo has been better than almost any other esport out there when it comes to listening to the players and getting their feedback. I mean, the custom game modes is exactly what made the pro settings with Halo. You know, I cannot play a game now to this day with radar because of Halo. Like, it's just, you know, just playing Splitgate and they have radar. And I'm like, what is this mess? Like, what year are we in? Now, I don't know if Ranked has radar. I haven't played Ranked yet, but my point is the player feedback directly to the studio, where there's like very little middleman involved here, I think is also like only a positive.
They should make Frosty the head of the players union.
They'll be busy. they'll
get feedback.
What was he complaining about during the test? I forget what it was. You sent it to me, but it was something like, bro, it's like an alpha tech test. Like,
yeah, it was like an alpha tech test. He had like
he just had a book,
a page that he had written out of just why it sucked and wasn't going to work out. And I was like, dude, just give it a minute. Like, you're not even playing in PvP matches right now. You're playing against bots.
And he just had a list of why Halo 5 is still better. And it's like, bro, I can give you one reason why Halo 5 isn't better, and it's dead. That is the only reason you need to know on why. It's dead. So either way, I cannot wait for Halo Esports. I cannot wait for Halo Infinite to even come out. Like I said, and I will say it every time we bring up Halo, is I will be playing private rooms. So if I can get 7 other listeners on and we play privates all night, every night, I'll die a happy man. That's all I want. So anyways, there you have it. 9 partner teams with the Halo Championship Series. So if you're one of them, Fnatic, Na'Vi, E-United, Envy, FaZe, Sentinels, Space Station, G2, or Cloud9, congratulations. Should be exciting. Should be exciting times. All right. So anything else? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that pretty much covers it. And obviously we'll continue to talk about that as more information comes out. But this was a good little start for Halo here. I thought they made a good splash today.
Yep. Tashi in chat, thank you so much for the kind words. We love you too. Thank you for listening. All right, let's get into some e-news brought to you by Philly Esports. Philly Esports should be your go-to destination for amateur tournaments, but like a pro setup. We know the guys over there. We've known them for years. Actually started out as listeners and have just kind of grown now into a more friendship level. But they're good dudes. They host monthly events. Actually, just last weekend was their Rocket League event. So congratulations to the winners there. Coming up here on September 18th. September 18th, their Rocket League event is their Cup 3. So there was the 3-stage setup. Now they're getting to the 3rd stage for their Cup Series for Rocket League. You can still sign up for that. $2,000 prize pool, as always, with Philly Esports, completely free to sign up. And October 9th through the 10th, Anuj, a 5-on-5 Valorant series. Completely sign up, sponsored by U.S. Army. So for all you Valorant players out there, you can sign up, get your squad together. It is free. Anuj, maybe we'll get a little TCR squad going here. Again, maybe the team will be called Low Expectations, because that's
actually not a bad name.
That's what you need. When I was once in a high school band, if you want to believe it, called A Big Disappointment. That's what we called ourselves. Awesome name. Might branch it out, but Low Expectations. That is what we need if you want to play on our team. So 5-on-5 Valorant, October 9th through the 10th. Go to phillyesports.net to sign up right now. And if you have any questions on that, they're also in our Discord. So feel free to always hop in our Discord and hit up Philly Esports. if you have any questions there as well.
We did miss our good dude of the week. Did you want to throw it out there real quick?
Oh, what was it? Oh, yes. Yeah. You know what? Thank you for reminding me. We'll also do Good Dude of the Week is sponsored by Philly Esports because who cares? Keeping on the brand of Halo, Anuj. I don't know how this makes you feel as a Counter-Strike homer that you can't get an update in 13 years. You might get an update 13 years, but Halo 3, released in 2007, it is officially 13 years old, is getting a new map as 343 Studios is remaking Turf, which is a Halo 2 map, but nonetheless, they are remaking the map for Halo 3. 13 years after release, they're still showing the game some love, so they get Good Dude of the Week.
Yeah, I mean, Halo is just one of the games that's unique in the sense that people still play like these older titles.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Halo 2, Halo 3, those are like the biggest ones that people are generally going back and playing. But that is awesome because that would be like CS 1.6 being like we're releasing a new map and just for 1.6. It just doesn't happen, you know? And so to get a new map 13
doesn't
years
happen
later,
in CSGO either.
no, it really doesn't. But this is cool. Like, I mean, it's kind of the nice little ramp up time right now, right? People are excited about Halo. They want to do anything they can Halo related. So good timing from 343's part, and also good dude worthy because that's cool.
Showing
finding
love.
time to do that, I'm sure, while all the other chaos is going on right now, that's tough. So that's pretty awesome.
All right, let's knock out some e-news because it's quite packed. Had a busy last couple of days in esports, and this is not even including all the Rostermani stuff. This is just outside of Call of Duty. But in CSGO, maybe world record, I have to imagine. But if you were ever wanting a factory new Karambit case hardened knife, all you have to have, little $1 million.
$1 million offer has been placed on that. That is insane. Now, not to say it's worth it, because it's not. It's truly not $1 million, but to each their own. It is a gorgeous looking knife. I don't know if you've seen the P1 like case hardened. It's a blue color, absolutely gorgeous.
I would take it, but I'm not
for
gonna.
$1 million. Oh my gosh! I just had to throw that in there because it blew my mind when I saw it. So I know that's not the typical e-news, but that is a big deal. $1 million for an online item, quite crazy.
Not even an NFT, whatever that is. Rush, former Cloud9 major winner with Cloud9, and former Complexity, as of most recently, was on Thorn's YouTube channel, though we wouldn't know that because Thorn blocked us, but I saw Rush tweet it, that he has been not ruling out his return to CS, but also weighing his options with Valorant. So we all know what that means.
I mean, it's none of that's not breaking news, right? Like, we know the options are so limited in NACS right now. He's not going to drop down to play for a tier 2 team at this point. Like, he's validated himself, so it makes sense to explore that option, and I would not be shocked to see him make the move.
The European Union has taken the United States off their safe to travel list due to COVID concerns. We bring this up in CS mainly because this is the major coming up shortly. Now, this could affect all esports overseas, but looking at the major, I think, is the next big event in Europe. Well, yeah, Berlin.
We don't know what kind of rules are in place for,
because you even have Berlin now.
Events and stuff like that. Like, would they allow them to travel because it's not, it's for something? I don't know, a work permit, whatever. I don't know how that would work.
If you can show proof
something
of...
that we'll keep an eye on, because obviously that could have big ramifications throughout the.
Right.
Just
I'd have to imagine, and we've talked about this with my wife a lot too, like, oh, do you think things will go like how they were before with the lockdowns? I think with the vaccines and tests now, if you can show proof of that, like, you're clean and you're vaccinated, I don't think they're going to completely be like, sorry, can't come, right? Like you said, it's for a reason. It's not like we just want to go be a tourist and travel around. No, it's like, hey, I'm just going to go to this hotel and I could stay there the whole time. Like, this is all I need to do. So we'll see. ESL Pro League Group C has been absolutely insane as 5 teams are fighting for 3 playoff spots.
Yeah, we got a new look at the new Fnatic lineup. They've played really well, had one of the craziest comebacks I've seen against FaZe, being down like 11-1 and coming back and pulling off that map. Yeah, 5 teams right now fighting for those 3 spots, and it's going to be really interesting to see who makes it. At the moment, you have Navi and FaZe tied at the top of the group at 3-1. Trailing right behind are the next 3 teams, which would be Big, Mouse Sports, and Fnatic. So 2 of them will not be making it through, and we got one more day of gaming to go. So a lot of scenarios to play out for Group C. We'll update you guys next week on that.
And where do we lose here? In Overwatch. See, I think we already discussed this too, right? McCree changes his name.
It was posted on Thursday on our news, so I wasn't sure.
Did we not talk about this last week?
I think we talked about the potential of the name change coming.
Anyways, McCree, they officially changed his name, so he will no longer be called McCree, Jesse McCree, as that was named after an employee who's been let go for their sexual assault cases. So,
and now they've also announced they're not going to no longer naming any characters in any of their games going forward after company employees.
I didn't see that news. That's kind of funny, just in the sense of like they're so afraid any one of their employees could be found guilty that they're like, we're just not going to touch it. We're not. Look, you're a good dude.
I don't blame them.
But I don't need you in like 8 years coming out. We got to replace names. We have had to replace too many names here at Blizzard. We're done. We're done. So good stuff. And in Valorant, Sinatra, his ban will end in just here in the next couple of days, few days. So the way this works is, so he is a free agent because he has been officially dropped from Sentinels. His ban from Riot will be lifted here in the next week or so, just coming up here. So he is a free agent. Will we see him go? Is he touchable?
I think he, whether you agree with it or not, I do think he gets picked up by somebody, and I think he gets picked up by a decent team. Like, I don't think he's going to all of a sudden be playing tier 3 Valorant, might not be immediate. It might not be the day that he is a free agent, but I do think we see him playing on a good team at some point.
Yeah, I mean, he might dabble in tryouts here and there with lower teams or whatever, but again, he was never found guilty, right?
That's the thing, right? If you're not found guilty, suspicion is there. There's some evidence. You think there was some, wrongdoing here, but if you're not found guilty, somebody will take a chance on you if you're good enough. Like we've seen this happen too many times. So, and
we've also seen if he does come back and being typical Sinatra, then people will forget even more. So,
yeah, like there's
the nature of the beast. He should
go take over Cloud9's roster and switch spots with Tens. And
if he wins, I'm not saying I would be against it. I mean, I'm a fan of professional sports, and that has some terrible people in it. So we'll see. We'll see where Sinatra ends up, if anywhere. In MOBA news, the LCS midseason showdown will be hosted at NRG Stadium in Houston, April 2022. Road trip Anuj, maybe?
I think there's, this would make up for the Frisco one that we lost.
Kind of bullshit, though. We lost
Frisco.
Brought
it back to Frisco.
Like, we're like 30 minutes down the road from Frisco, and we had to lose it because of COVID, and now they give it to Houston, which is like 6 hours away. Like,
yeah,
it's close enough to where I'm reminded that, this should be in Dallas. Come on, guys. But I'll take Houston. That's not a bad road trip. Not a bad road trip at all. Maybe take the ladies. So, we'll see. We'll see. Worlds, though, it was rumored last time. It's now been official. Worlds will officially be moved out of China, going to Europe, to Esports Island, also known as Iceland.
That's pretty cool.
One step closer. See that coming. One step closer to making it just Esports Island, where we host all of our tournaments for free of any disease. 100 Thieves are your North American champions, taking home their first in LCS after defeating Team Liquid. So happy for, I'm finding myself becoming a 100 Thieves fan.
I am. Like I like them as an org. I think they're a cool org. They're almost like cool in the sense like FaZe, but they don't have that shitty stigma attached to them.
That would have been cool for Halo. If you got 100 Thieves in there.
I put them on that list of teams I was hoping to see in Halo.
That would have been a nice team to see.
Liquid, there's a couple of really big names. 100 Thieves seems like the perfect fit
Yeah.
for Halo. So
That
I would
would've
love
been
to see
cool.
them be competing in it, but this is a huge win for them. I saw some great content from them right after of some live footage of them celebrating, and exciting time for those guys. That Ori continues to do big things.
Courage be damned. I'm finding myself liking them. And where am I here? Blah 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 blah. Mad Lions. Mad Lions are your LEC champions. So there we have it. So
Back
we're
to
getting
back.
back to back, getting closer and closer to Worlds. And don't worry, League fans, we will have Kevin on, our local Worlds correspondent, to talk some Worlds here in the near future. In FGC news, we did have Summit 3, the Ultimate Smash Ultimate Summit. Tweet ends up sweeping MK Leo back to back. So in winners finals, he swept him 3-0. And then rematch in the grand finals, swept him 3-0. So if there was any doubt, he definitely deserved to win in the biggest Smash prize pool in history. They're saying 150. I thought it was closer to 200,000. I could be wrong there, but hell of a way to win, considering prior to this, in their head-to-head matchup, MK Leo, 14 game win streak against Tweak.
And to drop back-to-back series, that's insane.
Right. Like, you've beat this kid 14 times. And Tweak is good, don't get me wrong. He's I mean, you know.
But still, you lose 14 in a row, you have somebody's number.
Yes, like he's in your kitchen at this point. And then you lose to him back-to-back 6-0 total. Like, yikes.
Biggest prize pool.
Biggest
that
yeah.
hurts.
Yeah, definitely sucks. And Riptide was contacted by Nintendo. Just another reason why Nintendo hates esports. Regarding Project Plus tournaments, and was told to cease and desist their events. So yet again, Nintendo getting involved with the Smash scene, third-party tournaments saying you need to stop. So
disappointing.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I again, it's one of those things, like, I get it from a business perspective, but at the same time, then Nintendo, why don't you try to work with them at some point, right? Like, it seems like every other developer out there is willing to work with their esports side and their fans. Nintendo just wants nothing to do with it. So,
like, refuses to acknowledge it.
Right. So there's that. In other news, Epic Games and Time Studios pay tribute to the late great Dr. Martin Luther King in like another world event. You could pretty much log in and see his "I Have a Dream" speech and all that. So this got a lot of backlash on it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was neat. Maybe it's because I'm an adult and I'm a history nerd and I just like that stuff. But look, if we can lose our minds over a Travis Scott concert, I think it's okay that they throw in a little bit of Martin Luther King and history involved too. Like it's all the same.
As long as you do it in a tasteful way, it's not a bad thing. You know, like what would be negative about it? Now, I know they had to, as you mentioned, you know, ban emotes and all that during that time, because there are going to be idiots out there doing things that you would hope people wouldn't do, but that's just not how it is. So I think they were playing the live video and had, you know, this up on the steps like it was done live. I thought it was kind of cool. So I didn't participate in it. I don't have Fortnite installed on my computer, but I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's gonna take a lot more than Martin Luther King for me to download Fortnite. But it was cool. I thought it was cool. A lot of people made fun of it. You know, whatever. Nintendo Brawl is coming, or no, not Nintendo Brawl. Nickelodeon Brawl is coming to PC. So that's the Nickelodeon fighter game that's very much like Super Smash Brothers. It has been announced that it is coming to PC as well as console. So that's pretty
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty big because for PC, we don't really have a whole lot of platformer fighting games. Like we have some, but nothing that's huge. So hopefully maybe this catches the attention. They did reveal that April O'Neil will also be a fighter. So apparently she's just a fighter now. We're making it happen, Anuj. I'm sorry. I know you're a very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles purist, and the last thing you want to see is your women involved, but she's involved.
Not my women. April O'Neil was a reporter. She was not a fighter. So it's just weird to me to see that. Like, they were always protecting her. Now she's out there kicking ass. So good for her. April obviously been working out over the past 15 years.
She's been working up for it.
Has put in the time. So here we are.
Netflix show American Vandals creators team up with Riot Games to create a League of Legends comedy called Players. no way this sucks.
They made like a like an MMO type parody thing where they tried to make it a comedy. I can't remember the name of the show now.
Are you talking
Didn't
about
really
on Apple?
Yeah, I forgot the name of it.
Oh,
If you
what's
say
the name
I
of
might know
it?
but
What's the name of it? Quest something. Mythical Quest?
some nonsense.
It wasn't that
I didn't
good.
care. I watched an episode or two, didn't really care for it. I hope this is good. Like, that would be cool if
Yeah.
it was, but I'm curious to see what their take on it is. But
I know
worth
that the show you're
mentioning,
talking about is Apple TV, and I agree. I watched a few. It was okay. My wife didn't get it because a lot of it's gaming humor, and she's like, I don't get it. So, it's whatever. Esports and gaming content when it comes to mainstream is always a hit and miss, but we'll see. NRG re-signs their their championship Rocket League winning team. So that means Justin, Garrett G, Squishy Muffins, and Sizz are all back on, to no one's surprise. To some surprise, though, YouTube Gaming got a big boost in their viewership as Dr. Lupo has officially moved on from Twitch and signed with YouTube. So good on
that's
YouTube.
a huge deal because like Dr. Lupo and Twitch really went hand in hand with me in terms of like they made that $1 million donation to him to St. Jude's, which really went viral and caught attention throughout even traditional media outlets. I thought there was like a unique relationship between them. So to me, this is a really big signing for YouTube. Dr. Lupo obviously has a massive fan base that all grew during the Fortnite era.
Positivity month. We won't have to see Dr. Lupo commercials anymore on Twitch.
That is true. See him on YouTube now, but
am I the only one? Yeah, but YouTube, the ad blocks work on YouTube. Yeah. They don't work on Twitch. So knock on wood, YouTube, you didn't hear that. Am I the only one that like unjustifiably hates streamers after seeing them in commercials on Twitch? And it's nothing to do with their content or anything other than I have to see their face for 30 seconds 1,000 times a day before I watch a stream.
And that's the thing that gets me, right? Is seeing the same thing over and over and over.
Like,
and
I
over
know
again.
it's not your fault, but
it's like a Counter-Strike intermission.
Right. Like it's like the intermission music. It's like, it's not your fault that I hate your music. It's just, it's all I've heard now for the last week. I feel that same way with Twitch ads. So.
And Tim, finally, this week, there was a huge event taking place. FaZe allowed everybody that I think like wanted to join or whatever, basically join for one day due to this whole like, what was it? If they won champs or something, they were going to let everybody become a FaZe member. So they threw a contract out there, let people have fun with it. You could be part of FaZe for a day. There are obviously a lot of rules and all that involved in this. But Tim, I want to ask you, did you FaZe up and join FaZe for that day?
This might come as a shock as I am such a huge FaZe Clan fan, but I don't really need to be on any government or federal agency radar. So no, I did not join FaZe Clan for that day.
I did not FaZe up. Okay.
I did not FaZe up. Did you?
Fair enough. I did not. As a esports guru and host of the show, Tim,
just unbiased. You just wanted to be unbiased.
I think it's important that we stay unbiased
there you go.
Until somebody gives us a reason to be biased.
There you go. There you have it. So, no, I did not FaZe up. So I did laugh though, because like it was all fun and games until you read, like you had to sign off, right? You had to sign their document, and you could definitely tell they definitely, like, their lawyers thought of everything, because it was like, you are not actually, it was like, hey, be a part of FaZe for a day, sign here. And I'm like, the final print was like big and bold. You are actually not a member of FaZe, so please do not put this on any resume. Do not tell anyone about it. Like,
just enjoy the day. It was a cool thing, though. I did think it was cool.
Enjoy
and, like,
it, but
they took over for that day, so I did think that was kind of neat.
It's kind of like if your hot cousin finally agreed to take you to prom, or like be your date for prom. Be like, look, I'm coming, but do not tell people we are together. Like,
yeah.
Like, we are not together. You are not a part of FaZe. I did chuckle at that. So anyways, there you have it. Episode 354 of the Centering Esports podcast. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, Tashi, if you're still in the chat on YouTube, come on the show. Just come on the show anytime you want. Would love to talk some Halo Esports.
110%.
120%. We will be back again Not next Monday as our normal scheduled show because it's a holiday and Anuj is out of town, but we will be back Tuesday to talk some more esports goodness. Hopefully we have some Optic Envy news, Cloud9, E United in CDL news, something going on. ESL Pro League will be almost wrapped up, I think, by then, so we'll talk some CS. We'll see. You never know. We'll never know. My camera angle will be fixed. It won't be this weird camera angle that's looking at the side of my face. But that's it. Thank you so much for everyone who listened. Go on Twitter at The Center Ring. Follow us. Join our Discord. Be a part of the conversation. Love your face. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya. Bye. Love you. Oh, what's up?
At the end of shows, we should start fake talking to each other like they do on
the news?
news anchors, you know?
We should,
just
but
like,
I always fade out to the end screen, so we're not actually on until we...
Oh, I got you.
that's
Leave it
fine.
on one time. We'll do that. We'll do a little... Let people wonder what's going on.
And then we just get in chat. Your mics aren't working. It's a joke. 354. Yeah, well, that's like they do like your employee for a day. They'll do like the win a year supply of whatever, and it's awesome. I did see that facing though. It was pretty funny. Oh God. All right. Well, that's it. That's it, everyone. Thanks for stopping by, Wolf.
That was fun.
Yeah, good. It's good. I mean, hell, a show where we talked pretty much all consoles gaming. That doesn't happen very often.
Not every day.
COD and Halo. How times have changed. But we'll get back into CS here soon enough. And then especially Valorant with Berlin coming up in 20 days. That's actually going to be next week. Next week we'll be talking Berlin. That's the one thing going back to one episode a week is we're really going to have to look at a calendar, you know?
Yeah, make sure we don't miss out on any huge events coming up for that week.
Right. So, cool beans. Well, I'm going to kill the stream. Wolf, thank you so much. I think you submitted a big dick play, did you not? If you did, I am, like this week, I think I'm going to go through and try to knock some out as far as like recording over them to commentate over them. So they're not super time consuming, but they're time consuming enough to where it is what it is. So, you know. All right, cool boys. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
Hey, any big dick play is good. All right, that's what makes it a big dick play. All right, love your face. See ya. Bye.